there's so many different ways of interpretation today, and of what we can allow in and what we can take away from the Bible. And I think that if your responsibility is to teach and educate anyone in your church, that it's done within the realm of your church's belief and of the tradition of the church's teaching. And I would just feel much safer and more confident in what I'm teaching if I know that it's been really researched by the Christian Education Committee. Just because it's in a Christian bookstore doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right material for you to teach.
It's interesting when you think about someone just grabbing something off the shelf. I immediately think and reflect back on the creation. God did not just grab anything. He gave a lot of thought and consideration in our being. I want, and I think that it's important that we take the same consideration when we look at curriculum.
I'm part of the administration of the church school program, and it's impossible to recruit competent teachers without good church school materials. Teachers just are not inspired to teach if you can't show them good materials that are going to lead them to be good teachers. Not all theology is the same, and within our church, we want to maintain the purity of our theology and our teaching. We want our children to learn our denomination's theology, our take on the theology. I think it's important that the session take responsibility for the curriculum that is taught in the Sunday schools. In many churches, although the Book of Orders says we're supposed to, the session has no idea what is being taught in any of the Sunday school classes at any age. I think it's very important to plan early in the week, and I found myself in the trap a few times of planning a lesson on Saturday night. And invariably when I do that, I come to some piece of material that I'm going to teach that I said, gee, if I had done this Tuesday or Wednesday, I could have gotten a video that I know of, or I could have gotten a special resource to come in to help with the material. And that's part of it. You just don't have a comprehensive lesson plan if you don't do it early in the week. And another part is that lesson stays with me during the week, and it influences what I do and what I see, and it prepares me to really make that lesson a part of my life for that week.
When I plan my Bible study lessons, I always think about who's the learner, who's on the receiving end. And I want to meet the child where they are. Children learn in so many different ways, and it helps to think about each child in your class and just mix it up a little bit. How does this child learn best versus this child? I want to make sure to do something that everyone's going to get something out of. And also, the main takeaway I want them to come home with. I want to focus on the main message, like when they get in the car with their parents after church, rather than say, oh, we had a great snack or a great craft, although those are very important because they help relate. Children, of course, really enjoy that. But the main thing I want them to get out is the message, something that they can carry around in their hearts, whether they're at school learning, or at the grocery with their mom, or in the neighborhood with their friends playing, or even just downstairs playing with their little sister. Something that they can really truly take to their hearts and make real in their lives throughout the week.
We have to understand as teachers that we're sharing a story and we're providing a ministry, but we're also should be nurturing your own spirit and your own faith at the same time. So what I share with young people, I'm reminding myself that I have to also be that example for them and to them, and the things that I'm saying to them, I also have to take in consideration. They're important lessons for me as well. So teaching is very important because it's also how I am learning too. In planning your lessons, you have to give time to study, you have to do research. So again, that's also nurturing my own faith as I prepare to share that lesson and that story with those that I am presenting on Sunday mornings.
As a child, I remember being taught content, Bible content. which as a child I really didn't understand. I was an adult before I realized, I thought the story of the prodigal son, that the message there was you better behave yourself and do what your parents tell you or you're going to wind up in big trouble. And that's the story I had until I was well into my adult years. And I realized that that story should really be called the parable of the forgiving father, not the prodigal son. It's about the father. It inspires me to be able to teach the children not just the content of the stories of the Bible, but the meaning of God's love that comes through each of those stories.
It's very important when teaching, especially young children, to be flexible. It's nice to have a curriculum that you can follow as a guideline and hopefully get through the message that you want to get through. But if something changes along the way, if a child, brings up a subject that you weren't planning on covering, and it feels right to you, and you think that it would be beneficial to the children to go ahead and talk about that, then that's fine. If you are lighting the Christ candle and a child blows it out too early and, you're frustrated because you didn't get your full message across, you can take it somewhere else. I mean, you just have to be spontaneous, and children are so flexible, and I think that they learn really well if there is some structure, but if the teacher allows them to be children. Another thing is children, I think the Spirit speaks through children a lot more than we give them credit for. Sometimes they can teach us things, and had we been so rigid in our structure, we might not have that opportunity to learn from them.